What's up, guys? It's Rogneish RAcoon, and today I'm going to be counting down my top 5 favorite video games of all time. Now, without further ado, let's get started with number 5. Number 5. Coming in at number 5, we have the Gamecube. The reason why I put the Gamecube on at number 5 and not lower on the list was because I haven't played a whole lot of the games on the system. I have the Wii, which also counts as the GameCube, but it's only compatible with the GameCube and no other console. The 3 games that I have, which are Super Mario Kart Double Dash, Super Mario Sunshine, and my favorite game is Super Smash Bros. Melee, are games that I can play any day and not stop playing. There are other games on the console like Legend of Zelda Wind Waker and Metroid Prime that defy the revolution of video games. I still think in my mind that the Nintendo GameCube is one of my favorite video game consoles of all time. Number 4. At number 4, we have the Nintendo Entertainment System. Not only was this the most revolutionary video game console of all time, it was also the video game console that saved video games. With video game consoles like the Atari 2600 and the ColecoVision, made what we call today the video game crash of 1983. The video game world needed a savior, and the one company came out from the ashes, Nintendo. Super Mario Bros. By Shigeru Miyamoto changed the world of gaming. No one had ever seen anything like it before. Then came out some other games from the Nintendo Entertainment System that defied the revolution, like Legend of Zelda and Metroid. Nintendo dominated the video game market for some time, until a company came in and single-handedly overthrew Nintendo's monopoly. Number 3. The Sega Genesis. Now you might be asking, well, Rogneish, why is the Sega Genesis at number 3 or not number 4 or 5? Well, I have an answer for that. Not only was it the first video game console I ever owned, it was also the first real taste of retro gaming. But the reason I decided to put it on the list as the third one is that the Genesis was the first, and I could have got the SNES or the NES. It was my first video game console I got, and the emulator, I played an emulator game from it called Home Alone, and the game, not a lot of people's first retro games they ever played, but this was mine. Then I found out that the Sonic the Hedgehog games were on it, and I had to buy it. Now it holds some of my favorite games like Streets of Rage 2 and Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. Now the next one might be a real kicker because it was the last gaming console on this list that I ever played. Number 2. The Nintendo 64. Following the huge commercial success that was the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo decided to change things up and make a brand new console which had 64 bits, which means it was capable for having 3D visuals. It was amazing. People knew that all the way back in October. They were going to get a Nintendo 64 for Christmas time. A lot of people had the SNES and went to the PlayStation because they're probably into RPGs or more than action-adventure games. Also, the fact that the Final Fantasy game series had switched over to PlayStation. But most people stayed because they loved Nintendo, Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong, and many others at the time. Now, with having my favorite video game of all time, Super Mario 64. In this console, it was a done deal. With my other games that are my favorite, like Ocarina of Time, Banjo-Kazooie, Conquer Bad Fur Day, Super Smash Bros., GoldenEye, Star Fox 64, Donkey Kong 64, and so many other games to count. Now, what video game console could possibly beat the N64 for my favorite video game console? Well, you're now about to find out. Here we go! Number 1. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Yep, you can probably suspect this gaming console on the list after I just told you some of the greatest consoles ever made, and the Super Nintendo wasn't on it? Well, here it is. The reason I put this console at number 1 was because it was the second video game console I ever played. And you guessed it, my first game I played was Home Alone. I know, a pretty bad game for the first to play on the system. That is one of the greatest game consoles ever made. The N64 is a classic console, and if I had to do scores, it would look like this. I know 9.9 is really close to 10 out of 10, but the reason why I put it at 9.9 was because of the swimming controls. But all in all, it still isn't that bad. Some of my favorite video games are on this system, like Super Mario World, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, Star Fox, F-Zero, SimCity, A Link to the Past, Kirby Superstars, Super Metroid, Super Mario Kart, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest, and my favorite SNES game, Donkey Kong Country. For Christ's sake, even the third-party developer games are as good as Super Mario World. Not only is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System a great console, it is, in my opinion, the greatest console ever made. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and make sure that you put in the comment section below what your favorite video game console is. Don't forget to check me out on Twitter, and I might see you guys tomorrow. Peace.